Good Omens is back with Season 2, and despite only being 6 episodes, it was a show that definitely landed back with impact, and it gave us a story that was extremely gripping, emotional, and visually exciting. With Aziraphale and Crowley both being on Earth, we saw them come together in order to find out what happened to Archangel Gabriel, and why his memory was lost. With core themes of love, togetherness, and finding a sense of purpose and belonging, let's recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this season. So let's get into it. Here is Good Omens Season 2 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Oh, and if you enjoyed the video, then feel free to hit subscribe. Thanks. The ending. This entire season was about keeping the Supreme Archangel Gabriel hidden from both heaven and hell, as they both wanted to find him for different reasons. Gabriel arrived at Aziraphale's bookshop with nothing on, and with no recollection of who he was whatsoever, so it laid down the foundation of what the entire season would be about. What happened to him and why was he there? Well, as we embarked onto the ending of the season, we saw that as the fighting between the demons from hell against Aziraphale, Maggie, and Nina was taking place, Aziraphale utilized his halo, which would ordinarily be an act of war. However, in this instance, it wasn't. Because once the amateur demon soldiers were destroyed, it instead summoned the archangels and the demons from hell to go to Earth and address what was happening. It was just before this that we found out that Gabriel voted against the idea of there being an Armageddon, something which tied back to what we saw in the first episode, when Crowley was creating his constellation and didn't like the idea of it being destroyed. This was when he was an angel, and due to Gabriel voting against it, it meant that he was set to be demoted to the lowest level possible for an angel. However, during this, we saw that he transferred his memories into a fly that he was given by Beelzebub, and stored his memories in there, so that when he was found after fleeing heaven, he'd be able to have them put back inside of his mind. This was so that heaven wouldn't be able to eradicate who he was completely. He didn't want to be a low-level angel. He wanted to flee and to be looked after by somebody that he trusted, Aziraphale, until the time came for his memories to be put back inside of him. Before all of this happened, Beelzebub and Gabriel, angel and demon, were meeting each other outside of protocol, and both shared the same mindset of not wanting the Armageddon to take place. This allowed a romance to blossom between them, and an unlikely connection and spark to be formed. It was what also answered the question around why the song Every Day was a main focus, and why it was constantly playing at the bar in Scotland. This was because Gabriel set it so it would always play there, because he knew that Beelzebub enjoyed that song. It was like a gift to her. The song was also symbolic of the fact that Armageddon was something that was always getting closer, hence the lyrics, "Every day it's getting closer." With that revelation, we saw that the fly was put back inside of Gabriel, and his memories all came flooding back to him. He fled Earth with Beelzebub and showed that an angel and demon could get along despite it being ingrained within them to not want to be with one another. This was also symbolic of the relationship that Aziraphale and Crowley had between them. The fact that they cared for each other a lot and never addressed it in the slightest. However, when they did in the season finale, in the closing moments, it was too late. Despite lines such as "I need you" being spoken, it didn't matter, because both wanted different things. Once the Metatron revealed himself to be present, we saw the angels go back to heaven, and Michael got off of the power trip that she was on, and this was where he took Aziraphale off and proposed an opportunity to him. This opportunity was for Aziraphale to become the Supreme Archangel and to replace Gabriel up in heaven, as there was a large plan that needed to be worked on, and he thought that he was the perfect man for the job. This was the second coming of Christ. At the same time, Crowley finally plucked up the courage to admit his true feelings for Aziraphale, and mentioned that he wanted them to go off and to be together just like how Gabriel and Beelzebub were. He wanted there to be an us, but Aziraphale denied the offer as he wanted Crowley to go up to heaven with him, and to try and make a difference together. But with Crowley denying it, Aziraphale still wanted to do it, showing that he'd rather have the opportunity to be up there. It was such a sad moment as we saw that it took Crowley thousands of years to be able to pluck up the courage to do that. Hence the importance of all of the scenes that we had which travelled through the years, especially with the episode during the war, which was very much focused around Aziraphale needing somebody that he could truly trust with his life. We also saw a good side to Crowley in the 1800s, which showed that there was still an ounce of good within him, and that he wanted to show Aziraphale that he could be good. With Aziraphale getting in the elevator and going up to heaven, this was where we heard about the second coming, and at that point, Crowley got in his car and drove in the opposite direction. Over the credits, you could see the sense of pain that was in both of their eyes, even in Aziraphale's, despite making the decision to be apart. So I do wonder what their relationship will be like in Season 3 of the show. Muriel was left in charge of the bookshop and to be an angel on Earth, so I think she will gain more importance over the course of the next season as well. Plus, Maggie and Nina decided that they weren't going to be together right then, but they did have true feelings for one another. Armageddon was stopped, but the relationship that had been blossoming and growing and building trust was grinded to a halt, as the two individuals that cared about each other more than anything found something that one cared about more. So it was an extremely sad ending, and one that I didn't expect. Overall review. I thought this was a really good season of the show. I'm impressed with the fact that it was only 6 episodes, as it felt so much longer than that, in a good way. We entered the world and it felt like we witnessed so much, so it's a massive compliment to Neil Gaiman and the actors. I would actually say that I preferred this show to The Sandman. I feel like it's so well contained and it doesn't try to be something that it's not. Not that The Sandman does that, but this show just feels like its own entity that really thrives. The humour is well and truly at the forefront, but it doesn't compromise the story or the weight of emotions that it tries to convey. Michael Sheen and David Tennant are great in these roles, and it does make me wonder why David Tennant isn't bigger than what he is. He's such a well-rounded, versatile actor that should be doing huge shows and movies. The glossy, unrealistic nature of the environment, such as when the characters were travelling, or the detail of the people in the town not having homes and just always working and sleeping in their shops, is something that adds to the eccentric nature of the show, and the almost comic, cartoon-like world that's present in a real setting. It can get away with some visual effects not necessarily looking the best in the world, because it's like a stylistic choice to not lean into the realism side of things, but the VFX were pretty spot on. I really enjoyed seeing Aziraphale and Crowley's relationship grow over the thousands of years. I thought that it was a great way for us to be able to see just how much they cared for one another, and despite being on different sides and believing in good and evil, there was a middle ground where one could bring the other and they'd find a sense of equality in their beliefs. It's the weirdest love story I've seen on screen for a while, an angel and a demon, but I love it. The emotional investment that was present when I watched Crowley reveal his true feelings for Aziraphale was something that was heartbreaking to watch, and that sense of rejection was felt on the viewer's side too. Despite being a demon, Crowley is an angel in his heart, and he has a lot of good within him, so it was a shame that he didn't get the happy ending that I felt that he deserved. The overall story of seeing Gabriel not having his memories and them trying to protect him and to find out why he was like the way that he was extremely engaging, interesting, and it had me constantly guessing what was going to happen, so they did a great job with that. It seems as though they've definitely set up a Season 3, which is great news, because it's a show that definitely deserves one. Hopefully it gets commissioned, and also I hope it doesn't take as many years as it did between Season 1 and Season 2, because at this rate we won't be getting another season for about 4 or 5 years, which would be a shame. We entered this world, we had our hearts broken, and we were kicked out, but we got an enjoyable ride, so bring on Season 3. So, there you have it, Good Omens Season 2 ending explained. What did you think of Season 2? Also, if you want to see what I rate movies that I don't create videos on, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. You'll see them all there. Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.